Hey, good morning. Today is tax day. What a fun day, April 15th. And and this is our Monday morning training. We're going to be going over a topic that I don't feel is really discussed enough in our business. We talk so much about writing business and doing whatever we can to figure out a way to generate more business, but we don't talk a whole lot about things that we can do to keep that business on the books. Uh, it's great to write business, but if you have to deal with a lot of chargebacks, well, I mean, I've seen chargebacks affect people to the point where they're out of the business, where they just can't handle the debt, even roll up debt from other agents as a part of the business. So this is something I think this is a training that's good not only for the independent producer, but even someone who's maybe building a team where you'd be able to kind of teach your agents how to do things the right way when it comes to not only writing business, but when it comes to writing good quality business, keeping that business on the books. And and at the end of the day, you end up making a whole lot more money when you don't have to worry about writing two apps to get paid. What I mean by that, if you have a chargeback, well, if you want to see some money coming in, you're going to have to write two apps because you're going to have to pay that chargeback back with one piece of business. And then the other piece of business will help you get ahead. So I got Chris with me too this morning. Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
Doing good. I think it's Under Armour polo shirt day today, which is awesome. But for those of you tuned in, thanks for being here. And if there's any particular issues you struggle with in persistency, chargebacks, fall off, things of that nature, put them in the comment section wherever you're on with us, and maybe we can engage those comments in real time.
Now, Chris, that's one thing too. I was kind of curious. I know you write a ton of business. You show your numbers. I think last year you did over 400,000. Do you track your persistency like with the different carriers? Do you have any idea kind of where you are when it comes to your persistency and your quality of business?
Well, I know first and simply, if your persistency is bad enough with a carrier, they'll cut you off. Like you can't
Yeah.
be so low for so long that there isn't going to be a problem. And nowadays, with how easy it is to submit business, I think carriers are becoming more proactive in termination to prevent themselves from incurring debt as well. When I was just me, myself, and I, personal producer, 5 days a week, working to qualify for carrier trips, working on a few carriers at a time, I averaged a high 90% persistency. So a lot of the stuff that I'm sharing as part of co-hosting today comes from that type of implementation in the field and that high of persistency.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, me too. I mean, I think I've probably always hung around 85, 90%. I think so much of it is keeping up with your business, even when the business is falling off, doing what you can to conserve it. That's something I don't know if I really have much on the slideshow today, but I think that's a lot of it too. I mean, you can conserve business before it falls off. I mean, that's if you're writing business with companies that kind of keep you in the loop. I mean, they're going to let you know if somebody's behind on their payment, and they're going to give you some time to be able to keep that business on the books before it's just going to fall off. I think a lot of agents they don't take a whole lot of time when it comes to the business that's at risk of falling off. They prefer to just go out and write new business. And I mean, I've seen it too, where if it falls off, it falls off, where they don't really take any time to do what they can to conserve it. Have you seen that too?
Yeah, I think that comes from the fact that nowadays, or I guess maybe for a lot of our industry, no one's taught to think past like right now. Like nobody's thought to think past this week's leads, that week's sale, this week's appointment. It's just so one call close driven that why are you worried about if it sticks or doesn't stick? Because you're not even worried about anything past the one sale in front of you. But if you look at this business with a little bit more perspective, with a little bit more of step 2, step 10, 5 years, 10 years from now, you're going to want to keep more of that business on the books because it creates cross sales opportunities. It creates referral opportunities, downstream referral opportunities, senior center opportunities. It also creates stability in your book of business so that you actually have renewals and not just money going towards debt.
Yeah, that's another thing, that we need to focus on is the fact that it's great to make that upfront commission, but we want to be building those renewals. I mean, we want to get to the point where it almost feels like we have like a bit of a salary coming in. It's kind of like a nice safety net to know that we have that money coming in on a regular basis just from business that we've written in the past. But if we don't keep up with our business, we're not going to be building up at any type of renewal base.
Yeah, I can tell you, and I don't know if this is on the script for later in the training today, but June 2022 is probably the worst month of my 30s between bad things going wrong and bad things going worse. I probably worked and then planned activities about 4 field days in the month of June, the entire month, maybe 3. But there wasn't a single point in time where I thought to myself, I don't know what I'm going to do about the money. There wasn't a single point where I thought to myself, with everything going on that's going on wrong, I don't know if I can afford for this to happen. I worked hard, worked consistent, saved, built book of business, built quality business so that when things weren't going right, money wasn't the thing that came up as a list of concerns through that month in that summer.
Yeah, that makes that makes a lot of sense. Again, just kind of planning ahead and staying organized and just making sure that you kind of have all your ducks in a row, and just kind of know. And that's what we'll talk about today. Just kind of know what to do when business is at risk of falling off and ways to prevent it from becoming a risk. So let's go ahead and get started here. So persistency, I think mindset plays a bit of a factor. We have to remember that writing an application and earning a commission is just step one. We've just earned a client, I guess you could say. But in my opinion, we have to treat it as though our clients are our clients for life. So we want to do whatever we can. I mean, when I'm in a home and I'm presenting, I tell that person, look, when that time comes, well, let your family know ahead of time that when that time comes, they need to call me right away. Well, because I want to be able to help when it comes to the claim process, getting things done quickly. I don't want to have somebody call me from one of my policyholders' family and say, yeah, my mom or dad said that I needed to call you when they passed away. And I don't want to have to give them the bad news that their parents' policy lapsed. I mean, that's not a good thing. I mean, they take the policy out for a reason. And the reason isn't to lose it. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes they don't even realize. I had one last week where a lady called me from a policy that I wrote a long while back, and her bank account changed. She wanted to update her banking information, and I told her, well, this company, you're actually going to have to call in direct. They're not going to take that information from me as the agent. They want to hear it from you. And so I had her call out there, and then she calls out there and they told her, well, your policy actually lapsed back in September. And she had no idea that her policy had even lapsed. And like I said, I mean, I would hate to have had something happen to her over the last 6-7 months with her thinking that she still had a policy active, have a family member call me and say, hey, my mom always told me to be sure to call you if something were to happen. That you would be able to help with kind of get things moving and make sure that we get this money and everything else. Well, I'd hate for that family to call me and for me to have to say, well, sorry, that policy lapsed. So, it's important to keep up with the business. But it was kind of a fortunate situation because, she called just because her bank account information had changed. Had her bank account information not changed, she may not even had realized still that policy had lapsed. Who knows how long she would have gone without having that policy active. And if something would have changed with her health, it could have been more difficult to be able to get coverage. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was still able to help her and get her a new policy to be sure to be able to get her covered again.
Yeah, I think it's important and more relevant the more you do business to pick lead companies that keep you in the loop with what's going on. Now, of course, most of these companies do have a back office and a portal and things you should be checking. But just like you, just like me, just like most people, we're all very busy. I'd like an email notification when something's wrong so I can write it down and then take care of it when I have the time to take care of it. There's so many companies out there that don't tell you anything about anything and you have no idea. So be strategic when you're picking your core companies. Companies like American Amicable, Transamerica. Heck, I think most of them nowadays probably do, but some don't. Make sure you're being notified so that you can at least service these cases. Like Adam said, this is a whole new opportunity to write a new piece of business. Probably the easiest application you did last week, right?
Well, yeah, she knew she needed it. She never intended to lose the policy. Again, sometimes things happen. And even if companies, they say, well, some of these companies have conservation departments and everything else. Well, people are not answering their phones these days. That's the problem. People don't answer their phones. Maybe somebody from a company was calling to let her know that it was at risk of lapsing, but if she doesn't answer her phone, how's she going to know?
Nope.
And that's just an unfortunate thing. A lot of times people just are not answering, or even stuff in the mail. Half the time they get stuff in the mail. They just think it's junk mail and they pitch it. They're not looking at their mail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad that, I'm not glad that she had issues with her bank account, but I'm glad that because of that, she had to call in, found out that the policy lapsed. And yeah, it was a pretty easy sale because the need didn't change. She still needed it. The only thing that changed was the fact that she had lost it and we needed to help her get it again.
Do you put magnetic business cards on your clients' fridges?
I don't. I've thought about it. I've given them out in the past. I would maybe even send like a thank you card in the mail with
Mm-hmm.
like the magnetic business card. But yeah, I know you just take it and put it right on the fridge, right?
Yeah, I mark my territory like an angry dog. No, not an angry dog, but like seriously, I think the magnetic business cards have made me thousands and thousands of dollars in those downstream referrals, those upsells, those client contacts where they wouldn't have been able to find their policy or the brochures or anything, but they found their fridge. And I think it's such a simple way to increase your persistency and your client engagement by putting yourself somewhere they have to see on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a good idea. I think maybe I'll start doing that. What I've been doing lately, because people don't answer their phones, I'm always sure to put my information in their phone when I'm there.
Hmm.
So like after I write the policy, I'll say, give me your phone. I just want to put my name and number in here in your contacts. So that way, if you see me calling you for something, well, at least you're going to know that it's me calling. And I know that then you'll pick up your phone. But yeah, I've been doing that a lot lately just to help with, hey, if a payment is missed, things like that. Well, they may pick up the phone if they see me calling it. They just see a phone number coming across and they don't know who it is. Then there's a good chance that they're not going to pick it up. So, and it'll save me time from having to run over there to door knock it to try to conserve it, which I will do if I have to. But
Hmm.
like I said, I mean, if they're going to pick up the phone, then heck, that's like I said, that's going to save me some time. So let's see. Let's go ahead and move forward here. So as I mentioned, your clients are your clients for life. Show your clients that you care and they'll stick with you. Um, and I think that that's something too. I mean, that could almost just be part of the presentation and just showing that you're genuine, or at least try to be genuine with the clients. Show them that you really do care about what you're there to do to help them. I've always said, we might not feel like 10,000 or $20,000 is like a ton of money. But when we're dealing with people on a regular basis that are like middle to low income, where they're living just on their social security, and they don't really have any money saved, this is a big deal to them. Like what you're doing for them is really going to make a difference in their family's life and make things a lot easier on their family when the time comes. So you got to be genuine with them and show them that you truly do care. And I think they appreciate that. And like I said, and show that you care and they'll stick with you. So, just some selling tips to help with your persistency. I always like to focus on the need, about how much coverage I feel like they need. And the two big things are the need and affordability. Now, one thing I have noticed, especially this year, maybe a little bit towards the end of last year, but especially this year, and I don't feel like I've changed things up a whole lot, but these funeral prices have really skyrocketed. I mean, the cost to be buried, I'm seeing on average like $15,000 to $20,000 to be buried. So I focus on that need. If they tell me that they want to be buried, like a $10,000 policy is like out of the question these days. It's not going to be enough. Where in the past it used to be plenty. I mean, I have thousands of policyholders that have $10,000 policies that I probably need to work on getting back in touch with, because when I wrote that policy, it was plenty, and now it's not enough to be buried. But with that said, the premiums on average have been a lot higher this year because of that, because people realize that the need is higher and that they need more coverage if they want to be buried. I do try to keep it affordable. I do give them a few different options and let them decide what would be affordable to them. But yeah, like I said, I mean, you can't really judge a book by its cover either. I mean, I was in a home on Thursday, and I mean, I walked in, I thought I was like on the next season of Hoarders. I mean, just stuff all over the place. It's just a total mess. But none of that really matters to me, as long as I know that they have some form of income coming in. Especially Social Security is a good thing, and if they have that direct deposit going straight to a checking account, I'm fine with it. And I mean, I left that house. I think I wrote, oh man, I don't know, it was like over $2,500 in premium between a mother, daughter, and a grandchild. And so, and she saw the need. She saw the need. She had lost some family members recently that were buried, and she saw how much it cost, and she just wanted to make sure that she was going to set her family up right, that they're not going to have to worry about dipping into their own pockets and that to cover things. So, the need, she saw the need, and I guess, the $200 a month, that she was willing to fit that into her budget. I know you've said that, Chris, in the past. There's people out there that, maybe it was a poor decision to take out a policy to spend $200 a month when the income really wasn't there to justify it, but they're willing to sacrifice other things because this is maybe a little bit more important. And that's what she told me. She was a smoker. She said, I'll just cut back on my smoking a little bit too. The cost of these cigarettes is outrageous. She said, I'll just cut back on that a little bit too. I'll do what I can to figure out a way to make this work every month.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I know sometimes I saw this post on one of these random Wild West Facebook groups. Someone said, does anybody know a universal life policy that goes down to 10,000? I have a client that can't afford 10,000 of whole life, and I need a universal life. Well, there's no ULs that go down that low, first off. And second off, it's value. People can afford the things they want and the things that they feel that they need if you create enough value for them to purchase it. Final expense, purely an emotional purchase. There's almost no logic to it. In fact, if you ran the numbers, they probably shouldn't buy it. They probably can't afford it, but they value it. They emotionally see a reason for it, and they get it. I think it's also important to remember that oftentimes your lowest income individuals get the most government support. And I mean that in a nice and a respectful sense. And if you're on this and you haven't realized this might be the biggest tip of the day, except everything Adam says. The people making $800 and $900 a month, in many cases, don't pay limited to reduce costs on their rent, almost nothing for utilities, get massive amounts of food stamps, get huge OTC benefits on their Medicare plans. They can afford it. They've got the money for it more than you probably realize it. Your responsibility is to build the value high enough that they want to get it from you.
Exactly. Yeah, adding that value. And hell, there we go, right there. Number
Perfect.
three. What timing? Sell on value, not on face amounts and rates. So yeah, we talk about the need, and of course, the need, we have to focus on that face amount, about how much coverage we feel like they're going to need. Affordability, yeah, we focus a little bit on the rates because we got to make sure that we can kind of keep it in their budget, keep it affordable for them. But yeah, that value is really what's going to sell this and what's going to separate you from the last 3 or 4 people that walked in the house. And there's many different ways that you can sell value. I mean, I sell myself when it comes to value, mentioning that, as I mentioned, I'll give them like a free planning guide, and I'll put my name and my phone number in there. I'll make sure that they let their family know to be sure to reach out to me when that time comes to kind of help with the claim process, speed things up a little bit. To me, that just right there, that could be enough when it comes to selling value. Even just the planning guide itself. I've had people tell me, wow, my other insurance doesn't do this. I mean, all it is a piece of paper, but it's something that's adding that value that is separating what I'm selling from what the last 5 people walked in were selling, where all they were talking about was just face amounts and rates. I talk about the fact that we only deal with companies that pay their claims quickly. We want to make sure that the claim is paid because the funeral home doesn't want to wait around for the money. We want to make sure this serves its purpose. It's not going to serve its purpose if it takes 4 or 5 months to pay out. So just little things like that are what I'm doing that's kind of separating me from what other agents are doing. And again, just adding that value, focusing on affordability, focusing on the need, but then adding that value that's kind of really the deal clincher.
I think people can really affect their persistency when they have these weak closes, and weak closes come as a result of you not creating enough trust, likability, or value. And you have to like really hard close somebody. Well, Adam, you have 30 days to think about it. And the company has to think about, no, it doesn't. No, the company does not have to think about it. It's 2024. They were approved. Like, let's cut this out. When you have a weak close, that's because you've had weak value, weak rapport, weak something else in the presentation before that. There are some people who really don't give a flip if they get insurance or not and what happens to them when they die or not. But that's not somebody you want to write anybody anyway. So maybe a lot of the issues people might have with persistency are way before the person is called to cancel. It's something they did wrong in the very beginning.
Well, yeah, and I know you've heard me say that on a call before. Like, if you're using that 30-day close, well, that's okay. You don't really have a decision to make today. You have 30 days to think about it. If once you get your policy, then if you don't want it, you can just call in and cancel. Well, you're putting that thought in your client's mind. So when they get that policy, that's the first thing they're thinking about. Okay, well, this is that policy that he said if I don't want it, I can just call and cancel it when I get it. So what do
Yeah.
you think they're going to do?
Exactly. I think you just diminished the value in your own presentation anyway. Like, it's not that
Yeah.
important. You did, like, you kind of do want that fine balance between a firm, permanent decision and there is some give and take. But I had a situation, and I'm sure you've heard them before, where someone will say to you, "Well, what if I decide I don't want it later on?" And I'll say to them, "Well, Adam, if you're thinking that right now, then we need to figure out why you're thinking that right now before we move forward any further, right?" Like, if you're already
Exactly.
telling me you're thinking about how to cancel it, let's slow down a second. I think people get so desperate to close business, to pay bills, that they're not willing to slow down in the beginning anyway. Like, if you just slow down a little bit and write better quality business, maybe you won't be so desperate to write business in the first place.
Yeah, that's funny. You just took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. That a closing like that, that's what it is. I mean, it's a sign of desperation that you're just doing whatever you can to close that sale. But to me, it's a risky way to close that sale because, like I said, the first thing that person's going to be thinking about is, well, he told me if I didn't want this, I can cancel it. And if you're closing that way, I mean, I would say be sure don't spend your commissions. Keep that money in your bank account because there's a real good chance you're going to be paying it back.
Yeah, I saw. Have you ever heard the phrase "you are enough"? Like, it's like a mindset or a motivation or like a mental health phrase. You are enough. I think people
Mhm.
need to say to themselves, if you write 3 to 5,000 a week every single week, 48 weeks out of the year, you're enough. Like that is enough. If you do it consistently, you have a fair enough commission level, they're quality carriers, your persistency is higher. Like people that are on these Facebook groups are thinking to themselves, if I don't write 100K a month, I'm a failure. Well, the guy that write 100K a month was lying anyway. Like 3 to
Oh yeah.
4K a week with good consistent production, with good persistency is going to be more than you would make at any other American job anyway. So be realistic and don't compare yourself to some Facebook fraudsters.
Yeah, you know what? I also wanted to mention to any of you that are watching in the Facebook groups, feel free to comment. Any questions, we'd be sure to try our best to get to those too. That's what we're here for. And that's why we like doing this live, just so we can kind of go back and forth with things. Between me and Chris, but then also with any of you that are watching. So feel free to chime in if you have any questions or comments. Setting draft dates properly is essential. I think that, I don't even like, honestly, I don't even like dealing with people that are not on Social Security. My ideal client is somebody who receives their Social Security once a month, either on the first, the third, or the second, third, or fourth Wednesday. And I feel very confident to write that business because they're going to get their Social Security. It's going to be deposited on that specific day or date. So if I can set my draft properly, there's a very that it's going to fall off. And if you say this is on a bank draft, what's a good date? And they say, well, I get paid on the 1st. So why don't you take it out on the 5th just to make sure that it's still going to be there?
We don't offer that.
No. Yeah.
It's not an option.
No, that's not an option.
It's not how that works.
Exactly. You have to take control of the situation and you have to tell them, well, actually, this is designed to coincide with when you receive your Social Security. So we actually set it for the same day and it's always going to be paid on that day. They might tell you the 15th. Ask them if they get paid on the second Wednesday. More than likely, that's probably what they're thinking. If you set it for the 15th and, the first fell on a Wednesday, then the second Wednesday would be on the 8th of the month. So then you gave that person a whole week to play around with their money. The chances of it being on their 15th is pretty slim.
0,
so
1.
Yeah, setting draft dates properly. That is like, if anybody out there is just asking the client what the best day or date would be, and you just write that down, I could almost guarantee you don't have great persistency. You got to take control of the situation and you got to be sure to set it when is the best date for the client.
Yeah, I had a broker agent who rolled up debts on Vector, doesn't pay their money back. And you know what the biggest issue I found with what they were writing was draft dates.
What's that?
It was draft dates. Like American Amicable makes it incredibly simple for me to see why this agent's case charged back. You click on it, you open it up, draft date, 5th of the month. Are you freaking kidding me right now? Draft date, 4th of the month. That's not a draft date. Like it was almost every single chargeback I saw from this agent was a draft date issue. And I would reach out to them in a nice way. Hey, I've noticed this here. Oh, well, they get this, that, and the other thing. And there was an excuse on why they did it. It was wrong. The payment date is the date they received their Social Security. It's not even up for discussion. Adam, I don't even make it an option. I ask early on in the presentation, what day do you get your Social Security? The 1st, the 3rd, or a Wednesday?
Yeah.
I circle it on my client form, and that's the date I put on the application. And even if they say to me, well, put it on the 5th, I never put it on the 5th. They don't even know anyway. They just want to know that it was deducted properly. And let's just be in control of the presentation, for God's sake. If you're letting them dictate it, like, do you walk into the airport and dictate how you get on the plane? Of course you don't. Be in control.
Exactly. Again, if they tell you the 5th, it's almost, in my mind, I almost feel like they want to make sure all their other bills are paid first before this. And this is probably their most important bill. This is more important than their cable bill and stuff like that. We want to make sure this is always paid. This is the most important bill that's going to really help the family when they need it, with a pretty good payout. So don't give your client, and this is one that we just kind of talked about, that the 30-day close. Don't give your client a reminder that they can always cancel. Like, why would you do that? I see no good that could come out of that. Oh, that's okay. Let's just move forward. You can always cancel it. Like, then maybe request to get paid as earned on it. Because you're just setting yourself up for a chargeback.
Like, you get down on one knee. Will you marry me? Oh, wait, if this doesn't work, feel free to divorce me. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's desperation. It's really what it is. It's someone that really needs this sale to pay one of their bills because they're doing something wrong on their business, and they're willing to do not whatever it takes, all of the wrong things possible just to get paid.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, it's almost, to me, it's almost like that desperation mode, doing whatever you can to make that sale, but you just got to take a little bit of control, and you got to get better than that to just be throwing that sort of close out there. Oh, you can always cancel. Like I said, that's the first thing they're going to be thinking about when they get their policy. And this is, I would say, probably the most important one. Don't be afraid to walk away from bad business. That's something that I don't think many people teach out there, Chris. You don't have to write business if you don't want to. I was in a home maybe 6 weeks ago where...
Oh, this is a great story.
Yeah, it was a family of like six people sitting around. It was, I don't know, 10:30 in the morning. There were like 3 people just kind of laying around, that just waking up, laying on the couch and stuff, cigarette butts all over the place, garbage all over the place. And like I said earlier, I was in a home kind of comparable last week. She had a checking account though, and was on Social Security. So I was cool with it. So I don't really completely prejudge the atmosphere or my surroundings in that. But anyways, yeah, kind of going through the whole thing. And I talked to the mother, talked to the father, and then like the 4 adult children that were there. And the adult daughter was like, Mom, I'll take care of this. Because the mom, she actually, I didn't even know they still did this. She got her Social Security sent to the currency exchange. Like, I had heard that in the past. I didn't even know that was still a thing, where they could have their Social Security directly deposited into the currency exchange. She's like, yeah. And then I just go and I pick it up, for a small fee. And so I didn't even know that was still a thing. I hadn't heard about that in a long time, honestly, that people could still do that. I figured, like, if they didn't have a bank account, then they would just get that Direct Express card to have it put on the government issued debit card. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the daughter's like, Mom, I'll take care of this. Don't worry about it. And she hands me a debit card. It's like a prepaid debit card. It's a card that you have to manually put money on every month. And I asked the daughter, I said, do you get any kind of direct deposit on this card? She said, no. She said, when I get paid for my job, I'll just take the money and I'll put it on that card each month. And we're talking about 6 policies. It was going to be probably well over $2,000 in annualized premium. And
annualized chargebacks.
Yeah. And the father, the older man there, his, she was the daughter. He's like, how much longer is this going to take? Because I got to get to work. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll just come back tomorrow. So go ahead and get to work. I'll come back tomorrow. We'll get it done. And I called the next day and just said, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. My kid's sick. Like, I did not want to write that business because it did not feel like good business to write. Not only would I gotten hit with 6 chargebacks, more than likely. That's a big hit with one carrier too. If I wrote all that business with the one company, that's 6 marks against my persistency when every single one of those pieces of business falls off. And kind of being on that side of the business for 7.5 years, I saw that. I saw where an agent would write a lot in one home and just how much it would affect their persistency, where we would be terminating agents for poor business. They might have just had one house where they wrote a bunch of bad business in that would have been enough to terminate them. So I look at the big picture. I think about this long term, and I don't want to take out a bunch of loans. And what I mean by that, that's basically what that is. If I'm writing that piece of business and I know going in, there's a good chance that I'm going to have to pay it back, that's just taking out a loan. I don't need to take out a loan. I want to write good business that I know I'm not going to have to ever worry about paying back. Or
you know what? One of the other
write that kind.
Yeah. The other dumb things I've heard, and I even tried it before to realize how dumb it was, opening bank accounts for people. Doesn't work.
Yep.
Does not work. Does not work. Stop believing this. It does not work. If you encounter a grown adult, 50 to 85 years old, that does not have a bank account, and I mean this respectfully, they are not financially responsible. They probably had a bank account and lost it and had it taken away from them because they were irresponsible. If all they're getting is their money on a reloadable Walmart gift card, they're not going to be able to keep up your policy no matter how much they tell you that. Leave.
Yep.
You don't want to write every single person. Every single person can't get what you're selling. You encounter somebody with a bank account and the ability to buy and wants what you sell, good. But this kind of plastic business, I had an agent call me recently, and they're in a home with somebody with net spend. And they're like, well, I'm not sure if I should write it. And I said to them, are you fine when it charges back? Well, no. Then do not write it. If they said yes, then go ahead. Write it and charge it back. That's on you. But if you are not okay with it charging back, then you should not write the business.
Yeah, I'd say any kind of
business,
situation.
like the plastic paying business, that is.
Yep. Yeah, I would say any situation. If you are sitting there and you just kind of have this feeling in your mind when you're sitting there writing the application, like this just doesn't feel like good business. This does not feel like a good situation. You probably shouldn't write it. Bottom line. I mean, I've done it in the past, and yeah, it affected me. Got hit with chargebacks. I mean, you could try to get paid as earned on some of that business, but what's the point? Because it's just going to fall off anyways. So, yeah, if it doesn't feel like good business to write, move on. There's plenty of other people out there.
Here's another one. Agents that encounter a situation where the person has a Direct Express card, but for one reason or another also has a traditional bank account. And because they want to get paid the advance, they write it out of the bank account, hoping that they'll take it off their card and put it in the bank every month for the rest of their life. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. Don't do that.
You're right.
I mean, most of these companies pay an advance commission on Direct Express anyway now, so maybe this is less of an issue. But write the account in which they receive money, not some other sham account they kind of use some of the time.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's funny. One of my agents was telling me that this old agency that he was doing business with, he said that they talked down about writing people that were on Social Security. Like, no, you want to be writing people that have a full-time job and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, well, not if it's like a paycheck to paycheck sort of job, because it's going to be hard for them to fit this in, and they're going to have to be responsible. And because those people, there's not a specific day that they get paid. It's every other week they're going to get a deposit, but we can't set up the bank draft for every other week. So again, I mean, I think the ideal client is someone who's on Social Security that has a checking account. They get their direct deposit. We know the day or date that it's going to be deposited, and we can walk out feeling pretty good that unless someone steals their checkbook or something, there's a real good chance that account's going to be open and deposits are going to be going into it, and we're going to be able to get the payment when we need to.
Absolutely.
So, and then we're not done yet. Just a few more things, a little commercial break here. Don't forget to check out our podcast, the Insurance Life and Everything in Between podcast, that not only is on YouTube, but also the audio formats are on Spotify, Apple, and a whole bunch of other platforms. And I've been looking at the like the analytics in the background. More and more people have been hopping on and listening from all over the country. So really, I do appreciate that. And same thing. Feel free to shoot over some suggestions or comments for future episodes. Any input is always appreciated, and really do appreciate those that have reached out. Heck, if you want to be on the show, let us know. We'd be happy to maybe set up a call to see if it would be a good situation. So then, after you make the sale, ways of kind of keeping up with your business, I always recommend to save copies of your applications. I think you're supposed to anyways, but save copies of your business. And I recommend to save the copies into like either Google Drive or iCloud or like Dropbox, or I know, Chris, I know you save all your stuff for the most part, like in Notability and stuff like that on your iPad. Anywhere you can save it, as long as you have a place to save it, so you have record of it, and then you can always go back. I always save my applications as the client's last name, comma, their first name. And then I have folders for all of the different carriers. I have a clients folder, and then that clients folder is then separated into the different carriers. And then all I need to do, let's say I have a client that calls me and they have a question about their policy. All I got to do is search their last name, comma, their first name, and I'm going to find the application. A lot of times the questions that the client has are questions that can just be answered off of the application. Like just small little things that they might be wondering, who did I put down as my second beneficiary? Oh yeah, I don't talk to him anymore. I just need to update that and put somebody else down now. Little things like that, well, heck, it'll save you time. You don't have to worry about calling into a home office to try to get answers to stuff that are simple and easy. But also it helps when it comes to doing like policy reviews. And that's where, step 2 of this, I recommend to also put together a spreadsheet. So after you write the piece of business, input that information on a spreadsheet: their name, their address, their phone number, the face amount, the carrier, their birthday, beneficiaries, all that stuff. And then from there, you can create a lead out of it that you can go back on in like a year. You can also do mailings. I've done that in the past where I'll send out stuff to my clients. You can also create a lead. How we order so many leads, Chris, every single week. The spreadsheets that we download, you can put all those on one spreadsheet. You have one big giant spreadsheet of all of your leads. That's also a good mailing list. Those are people that have already responded to a mailer in the past. You can put together your own postcard and send them out to the clients. I haven't done it in a while. I used to do it every month. I would be sending out postcards, at least 500 to 1,000, to different leads that I had of people maybe that I had never been able to get in touch with. It would just be a postcard with an advertisement with my name and phone number on it. And I would get enough calls back to make some sales to make it profitable. So again, just a little tidbit. That's not really something when it comes to persistency, but just a little tip there to kind of help to get the most out of your leads. But then doing those annual reviews, go back to your clients every year. You want to stay in front of your clients. If you don't stay in front of them, somebody else is going to get in there. And, that's the last thing you want, is losing the business that you took the time to write to help them, when it's probably the best thing out there. I've seen some of the other stuff that you see some other people writing that they probably had no business even writing on the client. That's the last thing. I would hate to see someone get into one of my clients' home and take advantage of them and put them in something that they have no business being in.
I think if a new agent or an agent right now, every time they wrote a piece of business, went in their calendar, and then 1 year from now on that Friday, put that person in their calendar, they would have every Friday filled in 12 months. And then they'd end every week with existing clients with add-ons, cross-sells, referrals, add-ons, all kinds of business. If they would just make that one simple step, you write Adam a policy today at 12 noon. Perfect. 12 months from now, this week, that Friday, put him on your calendar and just go show up. And you'll have so many people from who you wrote that week a year from now that if half of them aren't there, you're still going to sit with 4 or 5 people and write 1 or 2 pieces of business. Guaranteed. It's like little things like that go a long way. Earlier during the training, I wrote down a list of different types of businesses that depend on reoccurring customers. Your property and casualty agent is not front-end commission paid. They're paid to keep that stuff on the books. Your financial advisor, relationship-based business. Your primary doctor, maybe your kid's pediatrician, reoccurring customers. Your dentist, the gym, the restaurants you go to. They all depend on reoccurring customer interactions, but we're stuck thinking about one call and one close and one application, not what comes next. Look at all these other businesses that we can be more like and make more money doing.
Well, yeah, and remember too, we get paid renewals. Well, I kind of look at renewals as servicing our clients. We get paid a renewal. We don't. That's not like here's a renewal commission. Here's a nice little present for you for writing that business 5 years ago. No, it's because the companies, they want you to be doing your part to stay in front of your clients and to keep up with your business, because they know too it's going to lead to additional business. So to me, that's what that's what renewals are for, is to be able to continue to service our clients and stay in front of them.
Yeah, Transamerica, at least on the old grids that I remember, after you get to like that 10th year, if Miss Mabel's still alive, they don't call it your renewals anymore. It was called the servicing fee. Like, because it was so small and she's probably not alive anymore, whatever. But they literally called it a servicing fee for you to continue to service the business. Here's another point before we forget. Why do you need to save all of this information to the best of your ability? Because when you no longer work with that carrier, maybe you change IMOs and you're inactive for 6 months. Maybe the carrier pulls the product. Maybe the carrier stops existing. Maybe your relationship with an IMO changes. Guess what happens to your access to these back office sites? They go away. Like I can't access anything for Settler's Life. God knows what's on the book and what isn't. That information goes away. I'm no longer active with Americo. Oh no. Can I access anything on Americo's site? Probably not. Like, that information goes away if you don't save that information. So for your own sake and your own well-being, save the information.
Yeah, my prior company, I used to have agents all the time calling me, asking me for like a list of their policy holders. And they weren't a huge fan of handing that out to agents. Like, I would have to get like special requests to get that done for them. But I would tell the agents, like, I shouldn't have to be doing this. You shouldn't have to reach out to a carrier to get your client list. Like, you should be handling that part yourself. You should be keeping up with your business. You should have your own spreadsheet of all of your clients. You should have all of the copies of the PDFs. Like, if you're doing your part the right way, you don't need to have to call into a carrier to ask for that information.
And most of these companies, if you're writing good companies, the electronic application can be saved as a PDF afterwards. Is that hard to save the PDF into Google Drive or Notability and call it Adam Bursan 4/15/24? This is not that hard to be that. I'm not saying you got to download Go High Level and pay $300 for a CRM. Like, save the PDF.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, cloud storage, even like Google Drive, it's free up to a certain amount of memory. So, I mean, how difficult is it and it's not even costing anything. How difficult is it to just take an extra 30 seconds to hit the save button and save it to the cloud, and then it'll store on your computer, your iPad, or whatever kind of tablet you have, your phone. I like doing the cloud because then I have it everywhere. I mean, I'll be on the road and I'll have a client call me. It's not that difficult to look something up real quick for them. So, but yeah, part of the business, keeping up. And again, it helps with persistency when we're talking about keeping up with your business. So this is just a copy of like what I would put together and take to the door on a client that I wrote like a year ago. Like I create like the spreadsheet, and then I put this together myself. It's like a mail merge that I put together like in Microsoft Word. Same thing, not that difficult to do. If you went on YouTube and typed in mail merge document, you'd probably be able to figure out how to do it, maybe even in like Google Docs. But again, just kind of creating like a lead piece where everything is right there. And then from there, I can either print it off or I can add it into like my leads in like Chris and I, we use like either Notability, or I use Good Notes, which is pretty much the same, but same thing. You know, I can add that into the current leads that I'm working. And when I know I'm going to be in that area, then it's right there in front of me, and I'm going to add it right into my route along with all of my other leads. And I know a couple of weeks ago when I was having a bad week, not really writing any business, I remember I was talking to you, Chris, and you know, it gets to the end, towards the end of the day or the end of the week where it's like crunch time. And you were like, well, who else do you have that you think you could maybe go right? Like, you know, do you have any policyholders in that area? Little things like that. I mean, that's an easy way to go make a quick sale if you are equipped and have been in the business long enough where you have a pretty decent client base, that these are people that have already let you in their house once. Chances of you showing up and them kicking you off their porch is pretty slim.
Yeah, I just typed in 415 to Notability, and I have Vincent, Victor, Haley, Dustin, Tyrone, Ralph, Dustin, Eunice, William, Emma, Alan, Arlene, all people that came up as a sale on 415 of some date between 2017 when I started using this and now. Telling me that
that's
one
awesome.
of those people on a bad day couldn't want more coverage or something.
Yeah. Great way to go back and write additional business. Like I said, stay in front of your clients, make them feel like they're more than just a number, you know, showing them that really everything you told them in the initial visit is true, and that you actually do care, and you're not just writing that one piece of business, like write one today and then never see you again. But on something like this, I just go to the door. Yeah. You know, hey, Mr. Jones, remember me? Adam with Unity Life Group. I was over about a year ago and helped you with your final expense plan with whichever company I wrote it with. I was just in the area and just wanted to stop by just to do a quick policy review. Just wanted to make sure everything is still set up the way that you'd like. You have about 5 minutes to go over it real quick. That's all. Simple and easy. Like I said, I mean, that the chances of them not letting you in are pretty slim. And you might not write a huge additional policy, but heck, the little ones add up too. So, you know, stay in front of them, keep them up to date on what the current costs of the funerals are. Like I said, I have so many clients that have $10,000 policies that, you know, I really need to go back and look and try to see what I can do to help a lot of those people, because it's just not enough to bury them these days. And same thing. Yeah. What's up, Chris?
These folks add insurance from other people all the time. You might not think it, you might not believe it, but you will the first time you went back, did a drop in on an existing client and find out they bought more from the competition. If you hadn't gone back, you wouldn't have been able to upgrade that policy too. I just drop in. Hey, Adam, it's Chris. A long time no see. Just here for a quick courtesy visit. And they either let me in or they don't. And then we'll figure out what to do from there. My favorite is if they're a conservation drop in, I just show up and I look dumbfounded. Oh, thank God. Oh, Adam, I thought you were dead. I don't know. Oh my God, woo. Or I play stupid. I'm like, I use the other one. Just here quick for a quick courtesy visit. Then I get into the home and find out what the problem was and how to fix it. But you just casual about it. Like, you already got their name, birth date, social, name of their kid, all their medical problems. They bought from you once. What are you that afraid of? If they really don't want you there anymore, draw a big X in Notability and move on with your life. It's simple.
Most of the time they appreciate you coming by, and just keeping them up to date on things. And, you know, this is what I do when I get in. You know, thanks so much for being a good client. I'm just so glad I was able to help you with this. This is important, and at least you know that your family be taken care of when the time comes. And then I'm going to pull out the application that I wrote a year ago. And I have down here that you have Mike Jones, your son, down as your beneficiary. And if something happens to you and Mike at the same time, then Jenny Jones will be taking care of it. Is that still how you want it set up, Mike?
Oh, he did.
And
Michael, we got to update that. He did.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then, oh no, he passed away. Oh, well, or whatever, or I don't talk to him anymore. We got in a fight and I don't want him getting the money. Whatever, well, who's the most responsible person now that you would like to put down that would do the right thing when that time comes with taking care of your funeral expenses? And then you put that person down. Okay, well, I'll make sure to download a change of beneficiary form. I can even fill that out right there when I'm with them and have them sign it and submit that over to the company. Yeah, little service things, but makes a difference. And then I go over their amount of coverage. I see that you have $10,000 here and you're in coverage and you're paying $52.60 a month. And then that comes out on the 3rd of each month. Now you're 63 years old right now. Now you'll probably live to be at least 82, 83 years old, don't you think? And they always say yes. Oh yeah. I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever. And then I pull out my funeral cost inflation chart. And if you want a copy of this, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to send you a copy. You can get on my website and submit an inquiry and put that in the comments, or shoot me an email. But this is just something that I put together. It's a projected funeral cost chart that starts in the year 2021 when I put it together all the way. I can't even tell. I got something covering the bottom of it, but years down the road. And it goes over the left-hand column. 4.02% interest is the average interest over the last 50 years, or like from 1972 to 2022. And then I did 6% interest next to it. So then I go through that with them. They just told me that they're going to live to be at least 82 years old. And I tell them, okay, well, look at right now, we are in the year 2024, and the average funeral is around $12,000 to be buried. You only have $10,000. And you just told me that you're going to live to be at least another 20 years. And in 20 years, it's going to cost well over $25,000 to be buried. So it's great that you got the $10,000 right now. And it's even kind of cutting it right now where I can't guarantee you that that's going to be enough to pay for everything. But what happens when you live another 20 years? I think we need to look into maybe adding a little bit more coverage, don't you think? And they're always, oh yeah, that makes sense. My initial visit, I'm always focused on today's need. And then next year I'll go back and we'll look at the future. How much is going to cost years down the road? I want to make sure they can at least afford when I'm there to sell them on the initial visit that first year. And then after that, I probably feel a little bit more comfortable adding on.
I also find when you go back, sometimes you uncover policies they didn't show you or forgot that they had. And that by showing up a second time, you built a little bit more trust or demonstrated a little bit more reliability. And now you find new things that weren't there before. Or maybe they've experienced a new life event, a new relationship, a new something that encourages them to get more insurance. Like insurance is life event based purchases, and just being present in your clients' lives when those things happen afford you new opportunities.
And I bet, at least me, you're probably the same way. I bet I probably close at least more than half of the people I go back on. I bet close to 75% of them I'm writing additional coverage on when I go back in a year.
There's something you can do like Medicare, ancillary products, hospital indemnity, cancer, accident, grandkids, referrals, add-on coverage. You have like 8 strikes at bat before you walk away with nothing. You know, there's so many more opportunities if you would just go back and do it.
Exactly. And then, my agency, feel free to check us out. You can inquire at unitylifegroup.com/careers. home sales, telesales, plenty of leads to go around, many different types of leads, direct mail, digital, Facebook, you name it. We can get you lined up with a steady flow of leads on a regular basis. Our weekly trainings, if you're watching right now, yeah, this is one of our weekly trainings, as well as, daily phone call Chris does every day, Monday through Friday, that I'm on also on Fridays. Great opportunities too to build and grow. We can kind of teach and show you how to do that as well. Multiple carrier options and, good high level contracts too, for those that maybe already have a team that are maybe just kind of looking to make a move. Maybe you're watching and you see, wow, my agency doesn't do all this that these guys are doing when it comes to trainings and support and engagement. And I think it can be a lonely world out there sometimes. And heck, I mean, what if you had a really horrible week or a really bad month, and if you didn't have anybody to turn to for support or help, that could be your last month in the business. So I think it helps to have people like us that are just kind of here to help you and support you and kind of keep you on the right track.
Yeah, I think over the course of a year, we do over 185 trainings, over 185 at no cost, free. There's people that charge for their Facebook group, and we're giving away training that is experience based. Like, we're training stuff that works. We're teaching what we know didn't work because we want it to work for you. So just keep that in mind. We appreciate you watching, but this is all battle tested content from the field in real life from decades of experience.
Yeah. I was thinking about that this morning too, Chris. Some of these different people out there that you could call them marketing gurus or agents or whatever, but it's like they have all these different trainings that they're charging agents for. And I think about all the content that we put out there. Like, how could their training be any different or any better than this? Like, we're throwing it all out there. We're not leaving anything behind. There's no secrets. It's not like, here, we're going to give you a little bit, we're going to give you this little tidbit, and then for $500 a month, we'll give you the rest. Like, no, there's no way that they have other content out there that's any more valuable than what we're doing. And I mean, they're charging people, yeah, like you said, all this money for what? When people can find the same sort of content out there, like with what we're doing, and not having to open up their wallet, just there to help people. And like we said, heck, if people decide down the road that maybe they want to make a move or something, great. If not, heck, if we can help people get better out there, that just makes the insurance industry better as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I thought recently somebody asked me about being in the field, and I thought, well, I'd say more than half of the reason I'm in the field is so that I'm giving relevant, experience-based training, because I got to give training 4 and 5 days a week, 150, 80 times a year. If I'm out of the field for a vacation or for another responsibility or for one reason or the other, I feel like I'm like scraping the barrel to come up with something worthwhile to share with people who are in the field. So if you're listening to people who aren't actually selling and haven't sold and don't sell, like, what are they sharing? This is stuff that we've done, lived, experienced, trialed, not done. Like that makes a big difference, I think, with half the reason why I'm still out selling is that I'm sharing stuff that I know works and what doesn't.
It makes sense. Keeping up to date on things, staying relevant makes a big difference. So, my training, again, adambersan.com. You can check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/adambersan. Here's my information too. Feel free to get a hold of me if you have any questions, if you need me or anything. And, thanks again, Chris. Appreciate your help as well. And look forward to, seeing y'all again on here next week. Have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you again, same time, same place next Monday.
Alrighty.